Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
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 Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatadeshatarine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatadeshatarine
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Kunj Bihari, Radha Kunj Bihari, Radhe.
Jaya Radha Kunj Bihari, Radha Kunj Bihari, Radhe.
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva Mai Subhadra.
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva Mai Subhadra.
Jaya Srinath Ji, Jaya Balagopal, Jaya Srinath Ji, Jaya Giri Govardhan.
Jaya Srinath Ji, Jaya Balagopal, Jaya Srinath Ji, Jaya Giri Govardhan.
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo.
Namo Shrimadbhagavatam Hamsa Parvartikacharya Astatarashita Shri Shrimati His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Shrimadbhagavatam Hamsa Parvartikacharya Astatarashita Shrimati His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So welcome to ISKCON Detroit Shrimadbhagavatam morning class. It's nice to be back after some time. A long time. Today's purport is going to be quite long. So one option, I can read it. Second option, we can take turns and going paragraph by paragraph if you'd like, or rishi by rishi. We can do that as well too. If everyone has a copy of either the book or on their phones, we can do it that way. But before we start, let's sing our prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayam Namaskritya.
Namaskritya.
Naram Cheva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayudirya. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. I actually brought glasses today because I'm not used to them either. All right, so reading from Shrimadbhagavatam. So we are in Canto 1, Chapter 9, The Passing Away of Bhishma Dev, and we are in texts 6 and 7. So it's a combined text today. Bhavato narado dumya Bhagavan Badranarayaha Brahad Shwo Bradra Rajaha Sashishyo Renuka Sutaha Vashishta Indra Pramadas Trito Grasamado Stitaha Kakshivan Gautamo Trishcha Kaushikota Sudarshanaha Pravrato Narado Drumyo Bhagavan Bhadraya Naha Bradashwo Bradra Brajaha Sashishyo Renuka Sutaha Vashishta Indra Pramadas Trito Grasamado Stitaha Kakshavan Gautamo Trishcha Kaushikota Sudarshanaha Pravrato Narado Dromyo Bhagavan Bhadraya Naha Bradashwo Bharada Praja Sashishyo Renuka Shutaha Vashishta Indra Pramadas Trito Samado Stitaha Kakshavan Gautamo Trishta Cha Kaushikota Sudarshanaha. Anyone would like to repeat?
Bhagavato narado dumyo
Bhagavan Badarayana Brihadashvo Bharadvaja Sashishyo Renuka Sutta Vashishta Indra Pramadas Trito Grasta Samadopsita Kakshivan Gautamo Trischa Kaushikota Sudarshana Parvato Narado Daumyo Bhagavan Badarayana
Brihadasvo Bharadvaja
Bharadvaja
Shashishyo Renukasuta
Shashishyo Renuka Sutta
Vasista Indra Pramadas
Vashishta Indra Brahmadas
Strito Gritsamadosita
Trito Gritamadoshitaha
Kakshivan Gautamo Trischa
Kakshivan Gautamo Drishcha
Kaushikota Sudarshana
Kaushikota Sudarshanaha. We'll do the word for word. Parvataha Parvata Muni Narada Narada Muni Domya Bhagavan Incarnation of Godhead
Incarnations of Godhead,
Badarayana Vyasadeva Brihadshva Bharadwaja Sashishya along with disciples Renuka Sutta Parshurama Vashishta Indra Pramada Trita Gritsamada Asista Kakshivan Gautama Atri Cha and Goshika Atha as well as Sudarshana. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. All the sages like Parvata Muni, Narada, Domya, Vyasa, the incarnation of God, Brihadasva, Bharadwaj, and Parshuram, and disciples, Vishishta, Indra Pramada, Trita, Krishmada, Asita, Kakshavan, Gautam, Atri, Goshik, and Sudarshana were present. There'll be a quiz on all the names afterwards. No, I'm just kidding. Please repeat. All the sages like Parvata Muni, Narada, Domya, Vyasa, the incarnation of God, Brihadasva, Bharadwaj, and Parshurama, and disciples, Vishishta, Indra Pramada, Trita, Krismada, Asita, Kakshiva, Gautama, Atri, Goshika, and Sudarshana were present. Purport. So with this purport, if you like, we can each take maybe a paragraph. Is that all right?
He's long. Ooh, wait.
It's like 3 pages.
Ooh, I'm looking at this.
3.5 pages.
Parvata Muni is considered to be one of the oldest sages. He is almost always a constant companion of Narada Muni. They are also spacemen competent to travel in the air without the help of any material vehicle. Parvata Muni is also a Deva Rishi, or a great sage amongst the demigods, like Narada. He was present along with Narada at the sacrificial ceremony of Maharaj Janmajaya, son of Maharaj Parikshit. In this sacrifice, all the snakes of the world were to be killed. Parvata Muni and Narada Muni are called Gandharvas also because they can travel in the air, singing the glories of the Lord. Since they can travel in the air, they observe Draupadi's Swayamvar ceremony, selecting her own husband from the air. Like Narada Muni, Parvata Muni also used to visit the royal assembly in the heaven of King Indra. As a Gandharva, sometimes he visited the royal assembly of Kaurava, one of the important demigods. Both Narada and Parvata were once in trouble with the daughter of Maharaj Srinjaya. Maharaj Srinjaya got the benediction of a son by Parvata Muni. Anyone would like to go next?
Narada Muni.
Go ahead.
Narada Muni is inevitably associated with the narrations of the Puranas. He is described in the Bhagavatam. In his previous life, he was the son of a maid servant, but by good association with pure devotees, he became enlightened in devotional service. And in the next life, he became a perfect man, comparable with himself only. In the Mahabharata, his name is mentioned in many places. He is the principal Devarshi, or the chief sage among the demigods. He is the son and disciple of Brahmaji, and from him the disciplic succession in the line of Brahma has been spread. He initiated Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, and many celebrated devotees of the Lord. He initiated even Vyasadeva, from the author of Vedic literatures, and from Vyasadeva, Madhvacharya was initiated. And thus, Madhva Sampradaya, in which Gaudiya Sampradaya is also included, has spread all over the universe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu belonged to this Madhva Sampradaya. Therefore, Brahmaji, Narada, Vyasa, down to Madhva, Chaitanya and the Goswamis all belong to the same line of disciplic succession. Naradaji has instructed many kings from time immemorial. In the Bhagavatam, we can see that he instructed Prahlad Maharaj while he was in the womb of his mother, and he instructed Vasudeva, father of Krishna, as well as Maharaj Yudhishthira.
Would you like to go ahead?
Sure, yeah. Dramya, the great sage who practiced severe penances at the Ukumchaka Tirtha and appointed the royal priest to the Pandava kings. He acted as a priest in many religious functions of the Pandavas, samskara. And also each of the Pandavas was attended by him at the betrothal of Draupadi. He was present during the exile of the Pandavas and used to advise them in the circumstances when they were perplexed. He instructed them how to live incognito for 1 year. His instructions were strictly followed by the Pandavas during that time. His name was mentioned also as the general funeral ceremony that was performed at the Battle of Kurukshetra. In Anshusana Parva of the Mahabharata, he gave great elaborate religious instructions to Maharaj Yudhishthira. He was actually the right type of priest of a householder, and he could guide the Pandavas on the right path of religion. The priest is meant for guiding the householders progressively in the right path of ashram dhamma, in the occupational duty of a particular caste. There is practically no difference between the family priest and the spiritual master. The sages, saints, and brahmanas are especially meant for such functions. You want to read off this?
Let me see. It's easy. Yeah, okay. Badaranya Vyasadeva, he is known as Krishna Dvapayana Satyavati Sutta Parasaratmaja Badaranyanya Vedavyasa, etc. He was the son of Mahamuni Parasara in the womb of Satyavati. Prior to her betrothal with Maharaja Santanu, the father of the great general godfather Bhishmadev. He is a powerful incarnation of Narayan, and he broadcasts the Vedic wisdom to the world. As such, Vyasadeva is offered respect before one chants the Vedic literature, especially the Puranas. Sukadeva Goswami was his son, and rishis like Vaisampayana were his disciples for different branches of the Vedas. He is the author of the great epic Mahabharata and the great transcendental literature Bhagavatam, the Brahma Sutra, the Vedanta Sutra, or Badaranya Sutras were compiled by him. Among sages, he is the most respected author by dint of severe penances. When he wanted to record the great epic Mahabharata for the welfare of all people in the age of Kali, he was feeling the necessity of a powerful writer who could take up his dictation. By the order of Brahmaji, Sri Ganeshaji took up the charge of noting down the dictations on the conditions that Vyasadeva would not stop dictation for a moment. The Mahabharata was thus compiled by the joint endeavors of Vyasa and Ganesh. It was actually really good. But you want to write notes on his stomach. Yeah.
By the order of his mother, Satyavati, who was later married to Maharaja Santanu, and by the request of Shrimadbhagavatam, the eldest son of Maharaja Santanu, by his first wife, the Ganges, he begot 3 brilliant sons, whose names are Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura. The Mahabharata was compiled by Vyasadeva after the battle of Kurukshetra, and after the death of all heroes of Mahabharata. It was first spoken in the royal assembly of Maharaja Janavijaya, the son of Maharaja Parikshit. Shall I read one more?
You could read one more.
Brihadasva, an ancient sage who used to meet Maharaja Yudhishthira now and then. First of all, he met Maharaja Yudhishthira at Kamyabala. This sage narrated the history of Maharaja Nala. There is another Brihadasva who is the son of Ikshvaku dynasty, Mahabharata 1 of 4.
You could read the next one too, bro.
One? Okay.
Yeah.
Bharadwaja. He is one of the 7 great rishis and was present at the time of birth ceremony of Arjuna. The powerful rishi sometimes undertook severe penances on the shore of Ganges, and his ashrama is still celebrated at Prayagraj. It is learned that this rishi, while taking bath in Ganges, happened to meet Chachi, one of the beautiful society girls of heaven, and thus he discharged semen which was kept and preserved in the earthen pot, and from which Drona was born. So Dronacharya is the son of Bharadwaja Muni. Others say that Bharadwaja, the father of Drona, is a different person from Maharishi Bharadwaja. He was a great devotee of Brahma. Once he approached Dronacharya and requested him to stop the battle of Kurukshetra.
Parshurama, or Renuka Sutta. He is the son of Maharishi Janmadagni and Jamadagni and Srimati Renuka. Thus he is also known as Renuka Sutta. He is one of the powerful incarnations of God, and he killed the Kshatriya community as a whole 21 times. With the blood of the Kshatriyas, he pleased the souls of his forefathers. Later on, he underwent severe penances at the Mahendra Parvata. After taking the whole earth from the Kshatriyas, he gave it in charity to Kashyapa Muni. Parshurama instructed the Dhanurveda, or the science of fighting, to Dronacharya because he happened to be a Brahmana. He was present during the coronation of Maharaj Yudhishthira, and he celebrated the functions along with the other great rishis. I'll just finish this. Parshurama is so old that he met both Rama and Krishna at different times. He fought with Rama, but accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He also praised Arjuna when he saw him with Krishna. When Bhishma refused to marry Amba, who wanted him to become her husband, Amba met Parshurama, and by her request only, he asked Bhishma Dev to accept her as his wife. Bhishma refused to obey his order, although he was one of the spiritual masters of Bhishma Dev. Parshurama fought with Bhishma Dev when Bhishma neglected his warning. Both of them fought very severely, and at last Parshurama was pleased with Bhishma and gave him the benediction of becoming the greatest fighter in the world.
Vasishtha, the great celebrated sage among the Brahmanas, well known as Brahmarshi Vasishtha Deva. He is the prominent figure in both Ramayana and Mahabharata periods. He celebrated the coronation ceremony of the personality of Godhead Sri Rama. He was also present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He could approach all the higher and lower planets, and his name is also connected with the history of Hiranyakashipu. There was a great tension between him and Vishwamitra, who wanted his Kamadhenu, wish-fulfilling cow. Vasishtha Muni refused to spare his Kamadhenu, and for this Vishwamitra killed his 100 sons. As a perfect Brahmana, he tolerated all the taunts of Vishwamitra. Once he tried to commit suicide on account of Vishwamitra's torture, but all his attempts were unsuccessful. He jumped from a hill, but the stones on which he fell became a stack of cotton, and thus he was saved. He jumped into the ocean, but the waves washed him ashore. He jumped into the river, but the river also washed him ashore. Thus all his suicide attempts were unsuccessful. He is also one of the 7 rishis and husband of Arundhati, the famous star.
I can't say that. Another celebrated rishi, Trita, one of the 3 sons of Prajapati Gautama. He was the 3rd son, and the other 2 brothers were known as Ekta and Vita. The brothers were great sages and strict followers of the principles of religion. By dint of severe penances, they were promoted to Brahmaloka, the planet where Brahmaji lives. Once Trita Muni fell into a well. He was organizing workers for many sacrifices and was one of the great sages. As one of the great sages, he also came to show respect to Bhishmaji at his deathbed. He was one of the 7 sages of Varanloka. He hailed from the western countries of the world. As such, most probably he belonged to the European countries. And at that time, the whole world was under one Vedic culture.
Kurtasamada, one of the sages of the heavenly kingdom. He was a close friend of Indra, the king of heaven, and was as great as Rashpati. He used to visit the royal assembly of Maharaja Yudhishthira and was also visited the place where Bhishmadev breathed his last. Sometimes he explained the glories of Lord Shiva before Maharaja Yudhishthira. He was the son of Vitahavya, and he resembled in features the body of Indra. Sometimes the enemies of Indra mistook him to be Indra and arrested him. He was a great scholar of the Rig Veda, and thus he was highly respected by the Brahmana community. He lived a life of celibacy and was powerful in every respect.
Asita. There was a king of the same name, but herein the Asita mentioned in the Asita Devala Rishi, a great powerful sage of the time. He explained to his father 1,500,000 verses from the Mahabharata. He was one of the members in the snake sacrifice of Maharaja Janamejaya. He was also present during the coronation ceremony of Maharaja Yudhishthira along with other great rishis. He also gave Maharaja Yudhishthira instructions while he was on the Anjana hill. He was also one of the devotees of Lord Shiva. Kakiswan, one of the sons of Gautama Muni, and the father of the great sage Chandakaushika. He was one of the members of parliament of Maharaja Yudhishthira.
Atri. Atri Muni was a great Brahmana sage and was one of the mental sons of Brahmaji. Brahmaji is so powerful that simply by thinking of a son, he can have it. These sons are known as Manasaputras. Out of 7 Manasaputras of Brahmaji and out of the 7 great Brahmana sages, Atri was one. In his family, the great Pachetas were also born. Atri Muni had 2 Kshatriya sons who became kings. King Artama is one of them. He's counted as one of the 21 Prajapatis. His wife's name was Anusuya, and he helped Maharaj Parikshit in his great sacrifices. Goshika, one of the permanent rishi members in the royal assembly of Maharaj Yudhishthira, he sometimes met Lord Krishna. There are several other sages of the same name.
Sudarshan. This wheel, which is accepted by the personality of Godhead, Vishnu or Krishna, as his personal weapon, is the most powerful weapon, greater than the Brahmastras or similar other disastrous weapons. In some of the Vedic literatures, it is said that Agni Deva, the fire god, presented this weapon to Lord Sri Krishna. But factually, this weapon is eternally carried by the Lord. Agni Deva presented this weapon to Krishna in the same way that Rukmini was given by Maharaja Rukma to the Lord. The Lord accepts such presentations from his devotees, even though such presentations are eternally his property. There is an elaborate description of this weapon in the Adi Parva of Mahabharata. Lord Sri Krishna used this weapon to kill Shishpala, a rival of the Lord. He also killed Salva by this weapon, and sometimes he wanted his friend Arjuna to use it to kill his enemies. Mahabharata Virata Parva 56.3.
Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurudamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashaka Deshakayine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So reading the translation, a couple pages back again. Okay. All the sages like Parvata Muni, Narada, Dhoma, Vyasa, the incarnation of God, Brihasva, Bharadwaj, and Parshurama, and disciples like Vishishta, Indra, Brahmada, Trita, Grihasmada, Asita, Shivan, Gautam, Atri, Kaushika, and Sudarshan were present. Okay, quiz time. No, I'm just kidding. So, could not print out. I think in that time the computer shut down. So we are in this particular chapter 9, and we're at the point of after the Kurukshetra war. Bhishma Dev is now such a powerful warrior, right? Like he's listed in here as the greatest fighter in the world. But now, as we have heard, he is laying on a bed of arrows by the will of the Lord. And even if he has the ability to call death, like no one can say, oh, I'll die tomorrow, right? Like no one has the ability, but he does. But still he succumbed to this particular position. And so at this moment, it's like a pinnacle, a critical moment in time. So Srila Prabhupada gives 3 reasons why Bhishma Dev performed these pastimes and why Krishna has orchestrated the way he did. And also, Gauranga Das gives a really wonderful lecture on this particular verse as well, too. So just reading from theirs. So first, Krishna wanted to demonstrate anyone who fights against Dharma will succumb, right? They cannot be victorious. So however powerful Bhishma Dev is, right, and extremely powerful, as we read, he was considered the greatest warrior, right? Even he had the ability to call his own death, all of these things, but because he took the position against Dharma, against Krishna, his destruction was actually guaranteed. So this is one reason why we're in this position. Second, Krishna wanted to demonstrate a devotee can accept any position and perform devotional service. So even at the expense of being highly misunderstood, because Bhishma took the side of the Kauravas, and because of his vows, right, he was subjected to so much criticism. He fought against Krishna, he's fighting against Dharma, but he was always more concerned with what Krishna would think of him, right? Rather than what society is speaking about him. So one of the greatest challenges we also face is that when we're trying to practice this path of Krishna consciousness, when we're trying to come to a path of divinity, in society, we may face criticism as well. Sometimes we also feel the push and pull of society, of human society. Therefore, ultimately humans are affected, whether we want to believe it or not, we're affected by social approval and disapproval, right? We see this a lot, especially in the face of social media, right? The approval, thumbs up or thumbs down. So with this approval, disapproval, sometimes social disapproval can be so much painful that it may even cause someone to give up their lives, unfortunately. And so we see Bhishma Dev, even with risking social disapproval, being on the Kaurava's side, and that, society might even disapprove of him, but Krishna wanted him to fight on that side. So regardless of all the situation he's going through, Krishna wanted him to fight on this side. So, and use Bhishma Dev as an instrument, right? And so this basically, he put him in this position to actually demonstrate lesson 1, which is that, he's fighting against Dharma, but Krishna put him in this position. And no matter how powerful one can be, we can see that you cannot defeat Krishna in his will, right? And so, therefore, Bhishma had agreed to play this part, right? And that is pure devotional service.
Okay.
Right? So pure devotional service does not depend on external circumstances. Bhishma is actually one of the 12 Mahajans, right? Even though he's on the Kaurava side, we see like Prahlad Maharaj, for example, even though he was born he's a son of a demon, right? He was still a Mahajan. So therefore, pure devotional service, when it's uninterrupted and without any cause, this is what will please Krishna. So by becoming his instrument, performing devotional service, no matter what the circumstances are. So that's number 2. And then number 3, Krishna wanted to demonstrate that a devotee serving Krishna with his mind, body, and soul has the capacity to maintain his consciousness and remember Krishna even at the last moment of his life. Right? So in spite of it, and like Bhishma Dev's on the bed of arrows, he was in excruciating pain, right? Like any one of us, if we think about it, like if we're sitting there like on cushions or a chair comfortably or chanting or whatnot, and someone comes and starts poking you with a pin, how well is your chanting going to be, right? Like you won't tolerate that and stuff. But here Bhishma Dev is like laying on a bed of arrows. And, so it's just very difficult, situation he's in. And the Gauranga Prabhu also gives a nice example that a lot of times when he's giving classes to doctors, he tells them, like in this day and time, that, you're the modern day Shringi, because you're giving like sometimes a 7-day notice, basically. So Shringi is the one who gave notice to Parikshit Maharaj, you will die in 7 days. And so a lot of times, doctors will perform certain tests and stuff, and you have 1 more month to live, you have 6 months to live, right? So they're like the modern day Shringi and stuff. So to remember Krishna in that last moment is actually our greatest battle that we're trying to accomplish, right? And so like this Gita was spoken on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to demonstrate to Arjuna and human society that the battles which are following, after this Gita was spoken by Krishna, the battles which we are fighting, we're actually fighting every day at every moment in our lives. But before this battle actually began, Arjuna had to fight the battle of his mind, right? His distractions in the mind, he had to stop them. There are so many distractions we can read in like the first chapter. So, to be able to absorb his mind in the Lord's will, right? We have to overcome so many of these things to be absorbed in what the Lord wants us to do. And therefore, at every moment, we're going through these battles. Some of us have professional battles or battles within our professional life, in family life. Sometimes it's the physical health. All kinds of situations cross us. So fighting these battles at every moment. But all of these battles in this human form of life is meant to prepare us for the very last battle we're going to fight. So the last battle we will face is at the time of death, where we will experience this excruciating pain. It's actually described as being bitten by 62,000 like scorpions, right, at once. And so, I mean, I've never been bitten by a scorpion. I don't know if anyone has here and stuff, but it's supposed to be extremely painful and difficult. But so it's very difficult to comprehend like the amount of intense pain that someone is going to go through at the time of death. And in the midst of that pain, how are you going to remember Krishna? Can we remember Krishna? Right? So, most likely no. Or we have, we may not even have the power to remember Krishna at that time, the ability. So, but Krishna allows us to remember him, right? Krishna manifests in our hearts, in our minds, when he's pleased with us. And when is he pleased with us? He's pleased when we have spent our entire life sincerely fighting these battles to try to remember him. We have battles both in prosperity and also in distress, when things are good and happy, and also when things may be disturbing in our lives. But how are we trying to remember him? So this is the real internal battle that we are fighting and that we're expecting to fight moment by moment. We're going through this. So as the student of spiritual science is sincerely striving to be successful in this internal battle, that is why sometimes that in this life, Krishna gives us prosperity, right, and happiness, and sometimes he also gives us a lot of adversity in our lives. But the game of life, of this material life, is not just to give us this pleasure and pain, but is how do we respond to these pleasures and pain in life, right? We all go through it. We all have moments. Life is always a roller coaster. But how are we responding to this? Are we able to continue to aspire to serve Krishna, to please Krishna in the midst of both of these situations? A lot of times when you're extremely happy and things are going good, do we need to remember Krishna? Do we remember him? Right? So I would say that's sometimes even more difficult than in adversity. In adversity, a lot of times some people blame God, or some people think of God, or, oh God, but in positive prosperity or happiness at that time, oh, I'm in the top of the world. So what is it, how can we remember Krishna, in all situations? So when Krishna is assured, that here is a sincere soul who has the capacity to serve me eternally in the spiritual world, right? Because Krishna doesn't want to have these issues where, we are sometimes in a good mood or in a bad mood or whatever the situation be. Like sometimes, we don't want to be in a situation where we come to the spiritual world and we're like, okay, so how long am I going to be here? Or if I'm doing a particular service, how long is the service going to take? And stuff like that. Because in the material world, honestly speaking, we have this notion of when we begin an activity, okay, how long is it going to take me? 30 minutes to wash the dishes, the pots, and stuff. So, we want to be in a position where regardless of happiness, regardless of adversity, are we thinking of Krishna? Is this a battle that we can win, of thinking of Krishna at all times? So, Krishna has a very strong vetting process, right? Before anyone is allowed to come into the spiritual world, right? He has outsourced the role of this vetting process to Maya Devi. So, Maya Devi takes care of these exams that we're going to reach. Every day is an exam. How are we remembering Krishna? Are we going to be able to remember him? When we reach our last battle, are we going to remember him? So Maya Devi is constantly making sure that we're fit for this battle, for this final exam. And here Bhishma Dev is used as an example, right? Krishna gives many examples, and here Bhishma Dev, here is a person who has apparently served on the side of Duryodhana, right? The Kauravas, so not the popular side. So Duryodhana means one who is always on the wrong cause. He's one who's always fighting to preserve and protect his ego. And he didn't want anyone to be more superior than him, right? His ego was so strong. I'm sure all of you are familiar with Duryodhana. In fact, he is given as an example that even during the summer times, right? I don't know who has been in India during the summer times. It's extremely hot, like if you're in Delhi or Hastinapur, right? Extremely hot summers. And Duryodhana would not even allow a servant to carry an umbrella over his head, because nothing should be above him, not even an umbrella. This is the ego of Duryodhana, right? He was so, he couldn't tolerate it. Nothing can be above him. And so he was an example of someone who's obsessed with his false ego, right? And so therefore, he gave the example that some people do, people ask, sometimes people ask, do something practical in spirituality. And so Gauranga Prabhu actually gave this one example. People will ask him, do something practical in spirituality. He said that we're not practicing spirituality. In fact, we're part of the healthcare system. And so people would be so confused. What do you mean you're talking about healthcare system? Because he was explaining that when your mental health is not in order, and so you're you have individuals like Duryodhana who are so influenced by ego, right? That just wanting to protect his own ego, influenced by that ego, he created such a battle, right? Duryodhana, he could not tolerate any of the Pandavas. He could not tolerate anyone being higher than him. It was all about him. And he created such a battle. And what was the cost of this battle? The cost of this battle was 640 million lives, right? Think of any pandemic. We went through the whole COVID pandemic, but yet, not as many were killed during this pandemic. No pandemic has killed 640 million lives in just 18 days, right? We're talking a battle of 18 days, this battle of Kurukshetra. And so, what virus can kill so many in such a short time? It's the virus of the false ego, right? So it's like such a lethal virus, you can say, this false ego. And if you look at the battles of the world, if you look at all these wars that are taking place and stuff in this last century even, it's because of ego, right? So many leaders have so many egos, and my land, your land, you name it, it doesn't really belong to anybody. But so you can see the situation. So Bhishma was in the same party, as Duryodhana, as the Kauravas and stuff, but he was yet free of this ego, this mentality. And the process of purifying this ego is what actually Krishna consciousness is all about, right? And that is what Krishna is trying to share through all these examples. So Bhishma, although he's a powerful fighter, and he gained the credibility of being a very high-quality spiritualist in his last moments, So if you have spent your entire life practicing Krishna consciousness, a lot of times people ask, like, yeah, I spent my whole life, I've been in Krishna consciousness for 5 years. Where's Krishna? I don't see him. I practiced for 10 years. I still don't see him. Where is he? For 30 years or whatever it may be. So you may you may spend your entire life practicing Krishna consciousness and stuff. But Krishna says, I will manifest. No one can help you. And you need me the most in that time. And if you think about it, at the moment of death, right? Who do you need most, and who will manifest at that time? If you have sincerely practiced the best to your abilities. Krishna says, is showing his reciprocation. You can see at this particular time, why do we read about all these rishis? Bhishma Dev's lying on the bed of arrows at the moment of death, right? At this particular time. And Krishna is sending all of these rishis. He's sending all of these Vaishnavas, these devotees, and so forth, right? At this time of death. Because Krishna is reciprocating by sending his dear most to his devotees at this time. Because to help you remember Krishna at this last moment. And I've seen it personally when devotees are leaving their bodies, whether in the hospital or whether, in certain situations, somehow or another, Krishna sends someone to help them remember at that last moment, think of Krishna, right? So, this is the beauty of this Krishna conscious process as well. We go through many battles, we spend much time trying to remember Krishna, but we may not be able to see him. We see his beautiful form every day, actually, and stuff, but this is a blessing. So Krishna is blessing Bhishma Dev, sending the support group, right, to wonderful Vaishnavas to help him remember Krishna. Even Krishna actually comes himself to this particular, to Bhishma Dev. So the lesson we want to take away from this particular verse is that we on our own will are not able to remember Krishna. We try. We practice every day. We have this battle daily. Our japa, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. How many times do we actually think of Krishna when we're doing our japa, right? Versus our to-do list, versus so many things that come in our minds, right? It's constant internal battle. But if we sincerely try to do it, if we wake up early, try to chant our rounds, do all these things, even if it's a regulative process. Because on my own, I don't have the strength. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's a famous verse in which he says, I don't have the strength to chant on my own, to chant the holy names. But by the Vaishnavas, they give me the strength to chant the holy names. So this list of names that are assembled here, is a crucial point that at this time of death, we should remember Krishna. Because death is very painful, but by the Vaishnava's blessing and support, by sincerely practicing this Krishna conscious process, we will be able to remember Krishna at this time. So there's hope, to maintain hope. So this is a very long report, and I tried to squeeze in as quickly as I can. Some remembrances and understanding. So it is past 9 o'clock. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments, any of your realizations at this point?
Thanks for the
So thank you so much for joining. Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.